What is up, guys? We're back with another video, and today we're checking out a motherboard that's probably one of the most interesting motherboards that I've seen lately. It's the ASRock B650 LiveMixer. So let's go ahead and take a look. LiveMixer is a new product line from ASRock that's made to sort of appeal to live streamers, podcasters, content creators. As you can see with the crazy motherboard design, it's kind of appealing to those type of people. Now, we haven't seen really a new product line from a lot of motherboard manufacturers, so it's really nice to see this from ASRock. We'll see if they continue it onto the next generation, but right now you have the B650 LiveMixer that we have right here on the AMD side, and then on the Intel side you have the Z790 LiveMixer. Starting out with looks, that's definitely the thing that really sets this motherboard apart from all other motherboards out there. Both the Z790 and the B650 LiveMixer have this sort of graffiti style design, which is incredibly awesome in my opinion. I love it. Now on the B650 side, we have this sort of orange and yellow graffiti style. It says LiveMixer down the bottom of the board. This is really gonna make this motherboard stand out, and it's kind of refreshing to see something like this. We've seen sort of out there designs when it comes to motherboards years ago, but you know, all the motherboard manufacturers now, it's like black or black and silver. You know, we don't get these crazy designs anymore. So it's really nice to see ASRock with these LiveMixer motherboards just do something that's a little bit, you know, out of the box. Starting at the CPU socket, we have AMD's brand new AM5 socket. Now you will notice that you do have the same AMD retention brackets on the top and bottom of the socket that you saw on previous AMD Ryzen motherboards. This means that if you did have an older CPU cooler, it will still work on these new motherboards. Now the big change is that AMD went from a PGA socket to an LGA socket. So much like Intel processors, the pins are not on the chip anymore. They're actually on the socket itself. Surrounding the CPU socket, we have our power delivery components, and ASRock is making use of a 14+2+1 power phase design with smart power stages as well as 12K capacitors. Covering these power delivery components are two large heat sinks. These are actually orange and look awesome. The larger of the two heat sinks actually has a top piece that's made of aluminum and acts as a rear I/O cover. It really brings the top part of the board together. It has some paint splatters on it as well and a smaller LiveMixer logo. Hiding in the top corner of the board, you'll find two 8-pin EPS connectors. Moving across the top of the board, you'll find two 4-pin fan headers. The one that's closest to the CPU is the CPU fan header, while the other one is for either an optional CPU fan or water pump header. On this side of the board, you will find your 4 DDR5 DIMM slots. These support dual channel DDR5 memory up to 6400 megahertz. Along the front edge of the board, you'll find two 3-pin ARGB headers, a 24-pin ATX power connection, USB 3.2 Gen 1 header, USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 header, another USB 3.2 Gen 1 header, two SATA 6 gig ports, and a Thunderbolt header. The two SATA ports and one of the USB 3.2 Gen 1 headers are set at a 90-degree angle, so they're not going to get in the way of your graphics cards or other expansion cards. Along the bottom of the board, you'll find the rest of your headers and connections. So from left to right, you have your HD audio header, two 3-pin addressable RGB headers, a single standard RGB header, three 4-pin fan headers, a clear CMOS jumper, two USB 2.0 headers, and your front panel headers. When it comes to expansion slots, we have three PCI Express 4.0 X16 slots. The top slot is metal reinforced and supports X16 mode, while the two bottom slots are just normal and support X4 modes. In between the top and middle slot is an M.2 slot that allows you to install a Wi-Fi module if you wanted to add Wi-Fi to the board. The rest of the bottom of the board is made up of heat sinks. Two of these are removable. The top larger heatsink covers a single M.2 slot, which is PCI Express 5.0 X4. Now, right by this slot is another 4-pin fan header, which is going to be great for a rear case fan. The bottom heatsink covers two M.2 slots. These are PCI Express 4.0 X4. Both heatsinks do have thermal tape on them. Moving on to the rear I/O, we have a nice integrated I/O shield, which is the same type of design as the motherboard. As far as connections go, from left to right, we have DisplayPort, HDMI, 4 USB 2.0 ports, a BIOS flashback button, 4 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports. 2 of these are the Lightning gaming ports, 2.5 gig LAN, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports, 1 is Type A and 1 is Type C, and then you have your audio connections. ASRock has made cutouts in the rear I/O for Wi-Fi antennas if you plan on installing a Wi-Fi card in the board. When it comes to RGB lighting, all you're gonna get is a small strip that goes up about halfway of the front edge of the board. Now this is gonna provide a nice underglow, although some of that is gonna be covered up by your graphics card more than likely. Now I think with this board, with its kind of out there design, a lot more RGB lighting would have just done this board, you know, a lot good. But again, you have the headers on the board if you wanted to add more RGB lighting. Now, as we come to the end here, I have to say that I really like this LiveMixer series from ASRock. The biggest thing, of course, is the looks of this board, and I have to say, it is one of the coolest looking boards that I've reviewed in the past 5-6 years. I mean, this thing just looks awesome. They've done a really good job with this whole graffiti style paint job, and it looks good. The video doesn't do it justice. Go see this board in person. I mean, it is an awesome looking board. The only downside is trying to match other hardware with this, right? You're gonna have to do a custom paint job on pretty much any other thing you put on this board. It would be really awesome to see ASRock come out with a LiveMixer style graphics card that would match this board perfectly. That would make the ultimate build for me, I think. But overall, like I said, I really like this board. It is pretty much loaded with a ton of features too. Now with AMD B650, the big thing that you are gonna miss out on is PCI Express 5.0 on your graphics card. You are gonna get it on this top M.2 slot. So for those worrying about super fast storage, you have it there. Plus the other 2 slots on the board are PCI Express 4.0. So again, fast storage isn't gonna be an issue. And I think for people who are gaming, streaming, things like that, you know, doing video editing, you want that super fast storage, so you do have that with this board. Another thing, you know, again, if you are streaming, podcasting, creating content, you have a lot of accessories. You have your microphone, you have your audio interface, you have your stream deck, you have all these things, you have lights. All that stuff, for the most part, connects to your PC via USB, and so many motherboards just don't have enough available USB ports. You have to go buy a hub or something like that. With this board, on the rear I/O, you're getting 14 total USB ports, which is a lot. And then total with all the headers, you're gonna get up to 23 USB ports. So you're definitely covered when it comes to all of your gaming and streaming accessories, which I really like. Now, the only downside I think some people might be a little bit disappointed with this board is that you're only getting the 2 SATA ports. That's it. I think a lot of us have kind of graduated or moved up to M.2 storage, but only 2 SATA ports is a little bit disappointing for a board that is sort of in that middle range as far as chipset goes. It's not the high-end X670E chipset, and we're only getting 2 SATA ports here, so definitely something to consider. But I really like this board. I think it's, like I said, one of the coolest looking boards that I've reviewed lately. Now I'll go ahead and have a link below where you can go ahead and pick this board up. Also, we'll have a link below where you can go ahead and check out our full written review. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up, and we'll see you guys in the next video.